my family's very religious. So this kind of stuff and astrology and numerology and the planets and it's just very outside the box.
Like if all things are based on numbers, if the universe is like has a code to it, which I learned in Kabbalah, why wouldn't people have a code? Can it really be that your birth date and your name has anything to do with your life? It's so arbitrary.
Hello. Happy Monday, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Chiquis and Chill. I'm having such a great day, thank goodness, and I hope you guys are too. Today's episode is going to be super interesting. It's about numerology. That's right. We're going to find out what numerology is exactly and what it isn't. This is Chiquis and Chill. All right. So numerology. This is a topic I'm really fascinated by. I've always been fascinated by numbers and the meaning behind it. So I'm so excited to speak to our guest today, Josh Siegel. He's been a numerologist for more than 20 years. So he has a lot of experience. He also has worked with celebrities and Fortune 500 executives. So he knows a thing or two about this stuff, and I can't wait to learn more. Hi, Josh. How are you?
Hey, how are you? Nice to be here.
Thank you. I'm so happy that you're here, and I'm excited. I'm excited to talk to you. I know we have a lot to unpack today, but maybe we can start with how you got into numerology. Is this something friends or family were also into, or is it just something that interests you?
No, the complete opposite, actually.
Oh,
I was adopted, and my parents, my mother who raised me was from Germany originally, and she was an intellectual, an academic, a professor, as a matter of fact, at a major university. Total skeptic. I
oh my
mean,
goodness.
this was not in her wheelhouse at all. My father was an attorney. I grew up in a Jewish family and
Okay.
very old school. And so this had nothing to do with my background at all. But
Wow.
I had just kind of inherent, kind of say, just incessant need to know why things are the way they are.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom was like, very sort of fact-based and science-based. But I just felt like there was more to life than what I was seeing. So because I grew
Right.
up in a Jewish family, I started studying more of the mystical aspects of Judaism.
Okay.
So, which was called Kabbalah.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Kabbalah.
Kabbalah, Kabbalah is a very sort of philosophical, mystical system of how things are the way they are. It's a very powerful system, spiritual, and there's different writings over 2,000 years. But I started studying that, and I started realizing that a lot of their teachings were connected to numbers. I thought, wow, that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of wild. It made a lot of sense to me because it was sort of like I came from this mathematical background, right? Meaning that my parents were intellectuals and they're into like
Yes.
science, right? But it was science, like numbers connected to spirituality. And I was like, wow, this works for me. It's like best of both worlds. So that's how I got
That's
started in this. And then it was only a matter of time before I found a book one day at a spiritual bookstore here in Los Angeles that's no longer there, but it was sort of this famous hub of the community.
mm-hmm.
And it was like if all things are based on numbers, if the universe is like has a code to it, which I learned in Kabbalah, why wouldn't people have a code? Why wouldn't we have
Right.
like a code to who we are? And so, I mean, I thought about it like, well, we have DNA, we have a mathematical code that says what our eye color and hair color is going to be,
Yes.
in our DNA strand. Why wouldn't there be a mathematical code or like our personality or how our lives go? And so I read this book and I was like, God, can it really be that your birth date and your name has anything to do with your life? It's so arbitrary.
Mm-hmm.
So remember, I grew up in a skeptic environment, so I didn't take this at face value.
Mm-hmm.
It spoke to me like it like interested me, kind of made sense to me, but I had to verify this.
I like
So
that.
I spent literally years reading every book, every different system, every different opinion on it. Like if I traveled, I'd go to like old libraries and try to find books that are out of print that no one knows about.
So you really dug in.
Oh, because I have a totally obsessive mind.
I love that. Well, thank goodness, because now I get to speak to you, and it seems like you know everything and anything that I need to know about it. I've been into numerology, but I
Mhm.
don't obviously know everything I feel that I should know or I could know, should I say? And of course, me too. My family's very religious, so this kind of stuff and
Yeah.
astrology and numerology and the planets and just all, it's just very,
Outside the box.
it's outside the box. Exactly. So I've always been a
Yeah.
little different. So this is
Yeah.
why I'm like, well, I truly do believe, the importance of signing certain papers and documents on certain days, like the power that has, or so anyways, this is why we're talking to you.
Um,
But if you can tell myself and my listeners, what is numerology? I know that there are a lot of misunderstanding around it. So you tell us, Josh, what is numerology?
well, a simple definition of it, without going into its origins, all things have a vibration to it.
Mhm.
And we're talking right now, and you can measure that in a computer. You can record that, and it'll show a sound wave,
Yes.
and that's a numerical sound. How many hertz? So all things vibrate to its own energy, and the idea is that people, human beings, vibrate to their own energy, just like everything else in this
Mhm.
universe. The concept is that your birth date and your name, every letter equals a number. Okay, so A is one, B is two. It's a chronology, right?
Right.
That you could calculate a series of numbers to break down the code, the vibration of your code as to who you are and why you're here. And it's that numbers have a deeper meaning to them. It's not just for accounting with your accountant, that they have
Mhm.
qualities to them. And so the numbers that relate to you specifically, your name and your birth date, show what your qualities are, what that, like everyone has a unique thumbprint,
Yes.
right? It's like your numerical thumbprint, and it tells your storyline. My mother was such a skeptic that she thought skeptics weren't skeptical enough, you know? I mean, if you couldn't prove things empirically through science, like you could get the hell out of the house.
Right.
So,
Mhm.
so I understand that mentality better than anybody. As a matter of fact, my mom, it's so funny. My mom's last name was Einstein. She was a German Jew,
Oh my
and
goodness.
we never knew whether she was actually related to Albert Einstein until much later. And actually, someone did a family tree and did the research and connected the dots. Now,
Mhm.
she was distantly related, but my mom literally was a descendant of Albert Einstein, flat out.
Wow.
And she kept her maiden name. So she taught at UCLA. So my mother literally was known as Professor Einstein.
That's
That's what
so
my mother was.
cool. Oh my goodness. I mean, I didn't go to college. I wish I would have, but
Mhm.
the thing is what I've seen is that people that are very book smart, they're a
Yeah,
little bit more narrow-minded in the sense of I just am going based on what I have read, what I have learned in school, and they don't really want to hear anything else. So maybe that's what you're saying
that
your mom was that way? Mhm.
yes, my mom was an expert in whatever she studied, but academia is only like, and this is what I'm talking about, science versus spiritual science. Because
Mhm.
the scientific community looks at what I do probably and thinks it's complete pseudoscience, it's unproven, it's arbitrary. And trust me, I understand that because I grew up with a massive skeptic as a mother,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
But it isn't a new age concept. Someone didn't come up with this in the last 100 years. What people need to understand is that using numbers in a philosophical, mystical way dates back literally thousands of years. I'm writing a book on it. I did research. I can date back to the Egyptians, the Babylonians, you know what I
Yes.
mean? The
Yeah.
Indians, where they connected numbers to their gods, but it was all about nature and astrology. And before astronomy, there was astrology. Mathematics and the divine and how things work in this world were connected back then. Spirituality and science were together. And then at some point they separated them.
Because do you think that it was even more so back then? Like even I don't know. I feel because it's a scary thing for us to tap into that maybe some folks, and I don't want to say who, but certain people don't want that force because it's just too strong. So it's better to just separate them both.
Well,
Do,
listen, I have opinions on that. And first of
okay.
all, I grew up under the Judeo-Christian background. My parents were Jews. The Jews were the chosen people, as a Christian says, it should say. All the early church fathers, most of them were Jews. I believe in God.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in morality and ethics. And so the
Right.
funny thing about this, or the irony is, if anyone studies the Bible, we have the book of Numbers. If you ever read the Revelations of John, I
Right.
mean, it's like
Yes.
a numerological piece. I mean, it's numbers everywhere.
It's
12 this, 7
true.
that, 9 this, I mean, all through the Bible, the Old Testament and the New Testament is filled with numerology. Jesus is
Yes.
given 30 pieces of silver. Enoch lived 365 years, but we know that 365 is the days in the year. See, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of this stuff that's in the Bible is connected also to astrological and spiritual things. See, there's different levels of it. So when I do numerology, I'm not doing some sort of weird, strange thing some weird people came up with. I'm talking about knowledge that's been around for thousands of years. I think numerology proves the existence of God.
Yes.
I don't think it's anti-God. I think it proves God. I think that shows that
Yes.
all this,
Mm-hmm.
we talked about Einstein earlier. Einstein said something to the effect that all this couldn't be here for random. All the things that I'm seeing when he
Mm-hmm.
studied things in physics, right? He came up with the theory of relativity and all this kind of stuff. But he said that there was a intelligent mind behind the universe.
Yes.
And he said, people who say that I don't believe in God, they don't know me, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I've read all these quotes from him, and by the way, I checked my sources to make sure they were proper sources and not fake sources. But he said these things, and the reason being is it's that he realized, hey, this isn't just some coincidence. Something's behind all this.
Yes. I think it's all connected. And I'm so glad that I'm
It's all
speaking to
connected.
you because there are probably people out there that don't believe this. But see, look, I respect everyone's opinions, everyone's beliefs, but
Mhm.
I'm on the same page with you. I think it is all definitely connected. And I have seen numbers forever in the Bible.
Oh my
So,
God, it's literally everywhere. It's undeniable.
mm-hmm,
I do believe in God. I do believe in being a good person. I do believe in
mm-hmm,
ethics. I do believe in the Christian Judeo background. I am a product of that. And what I do is not inconsistent with that at all. And I
mm-hmm.
respect religion. I respect people who believe in God, and
Yes.
I'm down with it. But I'm telling you that
Love
when
it.
you sit down with these numbers, I'm telling you that it's a language that was set up for us to learn more
Mm-hmm.
about things. I just think at some point, probably because of control, probably because of people not wanting people to have access to this because they wanted to
Yep.
control the information.
There you go. That's the word control I
Yeah,
was looking for.
yeah, but that's not God.
Uh-uh. That's not God.
That's
Mm-hmm.
not true religion. That's political.
Yes. Josh, you're my guy, man. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. This is so great. It feels so good to know that
Uh,
I'm not crazy because I've been told before, like, oh, that sounds a little too far fetched, or I don't know about that, or you know what I mean? So this makes me feel good. And Josh, tell me, how can we use numbers today to understand our lives?
so I use it in a very modern context. Okay. I use it in a semi psychological way. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on how long your name is, and I use a very sophisticated version of numerology,
Okay.
and I've estimated that I've done over 20,000 sessions. Okay.
Wow.
I'm actually 52, going on 53,
You
and
look
I've
great.
actually been doing, well,
No, I'm
I got
serious.
all my hair.
Yeah, it's a great thing. You look
So,
good.
I've actually been doing this technically for 25 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just stopped counting after 20 because I didn't want to date myself. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want people thinking like I was hanging out with MC Hammer or something. Like, this guy's old. So I've been doing this a very long time, and people need to know that I have a very discriminating mind, and it took years of testing. And I
Mm-hmm.
did trial and error, and I basically were like case studies. I would test a formula out, I would add up a number a certain way, I'd ask them what happened in their life. I started taking
Dang.
notes. It was painstaking research. So
Mhm.
when I talk about things, I'm not just coming up with this stuff. It's a mathematical formula.
Yeah.
It's just what it gets interesting is if you have 5, 6 numbers in a chart, I have to combine those numbers to make the unique you. When people say, tell
Mhm.
me my number, I'm like, oh my God,
It takes a
this is
minute,
not,
right? Oh my gosh, is that me?
that is you.
Jeez Louise, I
That,
wish you guys could see this piece of paper. There is yeah, there's a lot going on that paper. Okay.
like, it's like a beautiful mind,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So it gets complicated because no one's a one-dimensional person, right?
Mhm.
Everyone has different aspects to them, right? If you look at my chart, you'll notice I have some fours in there, which make me very analytical and
Okay.
practical. And then you'll see 11s, which make me a little bit, alternative thinking, right?
Okay.
And then there's a little bit of the healer in there. And then you kind of put it together. I use sort of an analytical system that's alternative and maybe spiritual or unique in its way that helps people. It's like you
Mhm.
have to you have to put it all together. And what I'm reading here is your higher purpose. So let me get a little bit more into this so people understand what it means when you get a session.
Okay.
It can take, I mean, I tell people I could spend 3 hours in an analysis of your numbers. Very easy, 3 hours.
Wow.
Can you, and yeah, now we would both hang ourselves, but that's how much information I can get, right?
Jeez.
And so there are three numbers that describe your characteristics. There's like a natural ability number. These are talents and abilities that you have
Okay.
that come easy for you. And then there's your inner drive number, what motivates you. It's kind of like a driving force that behind your actions, because this is something important to you. It's kind of how your mind thinks, what drives you.
Okay.
And then there's your personality number, which will exhibit certain characteristics that people see, okay, or how you interact with people, or how they interact with you. Okay. Now those, you can't do a reading without those three numbers, right? However, there's either 2 or 3 lesson numbers. Okay. And in your case, you have 2.
Okay.
One is in the life path. One's called the life path number, derived solely from your birthday.
Yes.
And then one I call the ultimate goal number, which not many numerologists are aware of or understand how
I've
that
never
works.
heard of that one. I was about to tell you that. I've only heard of path number and your destiny number.
Right. So the destiny number is what I call your natural ability number, because it has nothing to do with your destiny. You know, I had to spend all these years with all these different authors and different systems out there and go through it and say what worked and didn't work. And I had to throw out what didn't work.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't going to take it at face value. You know, I'm still, my adopted mom's gone. She passed in 2017 at 93 years old. She never, I think towards the end of her life, she started going, well, I don't know what the hell he's doing, but he's passionate about it. I think she saw me on Diane Sawyer, the news hour once, and that kind of gave me some credibility. She's like, Diane Sawyer's a credible news hour. I thought
then you became
she's
cool.
Like, she's like, how did you get on Diane Sawyer, with your voodoo, So
yeah,
it's like, Mom, this is real. So, anyways, the ultimate goal number is something I discovered. Only a few people knew about that.
I had never
And
heard
one
of
of them
it.
was it actually came from a woman named Jean, who wrote books in the sort of the 80s, early 90s. And she was an 85-year-old woman that lived in Salem, Oregon. And there's a phone number in the back of the book. And I called her, and she would stay on the phone for me for hours because I had all these questions. And she became kind of my quasi teacher.
Ooh. Yes.
I never met the woman. I never knew what she looked like or anything. I just called her, and she would stay on the phone for hours with me.
Wow. So you guys had a very deep connection.
We did.
That's awesome.
And she turned me on to the ultimate goal, but my research showed, and this is the most powerful thing I've learned, the ultimate goal number shows you what your deepest lessons are, that you'll grow up in a family, in an environment, there'll be a direct connection between your parents and you, which is kind of dovetails into psychology today. How mommy and daddy screwed you up.
Ooh,
right? And even in the best of families, how they, how their unresolved wounds downloaded into you, right? And how you were destined to go through certain events that were going to shape your wounds and challenges, and that later on in life, you were going to repeat these wounds and challenges by attracting people into your life to play them out like a Shakespearean drama. Now, what I discovered is, and again, this is not a theory anymore. I've had, over 20,000 cases, right?
Yeah.
What I discovered is your deepest wound. Now, in your life path as well, you got to look at the life path and the ultimate goal. Life path, you learn a little bit sooner, but it's still a lesson. You got to combine the two. But what I found particularly with the ultimate goal is that once you start to wake up, because here's something else that's kind of deep. At this stage in my life, and working with as many people as I have from all walks of life, I realize that I think God sends us down here to learn, some things. And it's kind of like a setup. It's kind of like a boot camp for souls.
Right.
Like we're just here, like in a soul and a body on a spinning planet, and all this shit's going at us. And we got the crazy uncle and the mom and the dad left, and then we're growing up and we're trying to figure this out. And then you try to find your way, and then you have a relationship with this person. You think you find love, but this person is, throwing you for a loop. And then you go, you know what I mean? And then you get, this person becomes an alcoholic, or this person runs away, and then, or does, I got to, make as much money as I can, only to find out that's not what life is. And you go through these, I've heard, don't you understand how many stories I've heard? You got to be
I feel
kidding
like
me.
you just like, I don't know, like we talked before this conversation and you know everything about me. Like you literally named almost, if not everything that I have had to deal with.
Well, that's because I got your chart
Oh, you
here.
got my charts. A whole lot of numbers there, guys.
Yeah. Yeah. So yes, what I just talked about, part of it is there. We'll talk about your 8 and your ultimate goal and what,
Okay.
but what happens is when you start to wake up out of it, the same number that represented your deepest issue, how you got set up at, because you have to learn something down here.
Yeah.
It becomes your higher purpose.
Okay, see, I honestly truly believe that, yes, I believe in reincarnation. I feel that I've been here many times in different forms. But I do have a question before we move on to my reading. I see a lot of what I call angel numbers. I see a lot of 1111. I see 22. I see 33 all the time. I've been seeing 1212 a lot for the past like 2 weeks. Are those, what do you think about that?
All right. So you said you've been seeing, all right. So let's talk about the first thing you want to do is see, is there any correlation to the chart?
Okay.
In the 6 numbers or 5 numbers in your case, are any of these numbers present? Okay.
Okay.
So, I've already calculated your chart.
Yes.
I haven't written anything because you're watching me. Okay. You'll notice that you have right here, a 2911. You see how I circled the 11?
Hold on. Yes, saw it. Yes, got it. Okay. Yes.
That's a 2911. You see how I circled 11? Okay. So 11 is your personality number.
Okay.
In other words, one of your main numbers is an 11. So if you see 11, it's part of your chart, number 1. Okay. Here's another thing. I didn't even tell you about this yet. How I figure out where you are in your path to learning your lessons, right? Is I go back in time using something called numerological cycles. So, there's predictive elements in astrology, right? And they use the planets to see where what's going on. When you're born, they just take a snapshot of your chart, but the planets are still moving, right? So that's how the planets, when they move around, hit planets in your chart, what you were born with. That's how they predict certain things.
How they have aligned, right, at the time of your birth.
Yeah, how they align. Yeah, and then so now in numerology, it turns out that I wouldn't call it prediction like psychic stuff. I don't work with that kind of stuff. In fact, I ask questions about certain time frames because I'm not sure exactly what happened. I have a feeling, I have an idea of what may have happened because of this. Every year we come under a different number that's separate from our numbers we're born with. There's temporary numbers, there's cycles, and they work in cycles of 9 years, just like 9 months to a pregnancy. And so every 9 years, you finish a 9-year cycle, and then you start over again another 9-year cycle.
Yes.
And so depending on what your birth date is, you're going to be 1 through 9 for whatever year you're talking about, right? So it turns out that you're in an 11 year, which is a 2. If you had 1 and 1 breaks down to a 2.
Right.
So you're getting this reading. Understand something. 11 is one of your numbers, and you're in an 11 year. And then you're telling me seeing 11. Now, what comes after 11 is 12. And that's your next year coming up. And you just told me recently you've been seeing 12.
So much.
Now this is okay. So you'll see that it says 2022 and it says 3811. Right. And then it says 2023, 39, 12, 3. It just means I'm adding it down. 3 plus 9 is 12, 12, 3. Okay. So you're telling me in your 11 year that you see 11. 11's in your chart. You were born with 11. And you're saying just recently you've been seeing 12. You're literally going into 12 as a cycle next year.
Oh, my goodness. I'm connected.
So, yeah. I mean, you're on point. You're on point. So these numbers have meanings, and they're thousands of years old, but they're being translated into modern psychological tools, right?
Jeez. This is beautiful.
And
I love this.
Yeah, it is. And it ain't new age. This shit is old age as could be.
It's ancient history, y'all.
Yeah. It ain't. This idea is like, oh, that's new age. I'm like, wait a minute.
No.
The Babylonian era is the Egyptians, the Jews, the early Hebrews.
And all this was used, I'm telling you guys, way back in, they're on the pyramids. I mean, there are so many things that show like numbers and how they counted and how like this was used way back when. So yes, I don't want to hear about this new age stuff.
Oh man, this shit is so old. It's you can't even believe it. You know what I mean? So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna go back in time. So you already know something. You already know that 8 is to be exact, it's a 17. We use double digits when you're using more detailed numerology.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So we call it a 17-8. 1 plus 7 is 8. 26 is an 8. 2 plus 6 is an 8. The double digits just tell us what kind of an 8 it is, but you're an 8.
Okay.
Make it
Yes.
simple. Ultimate goal. So, hey, I told you that cycles work in cycles of 9 years. I'm going to go back to the last times you're in an 8 year because I know you're an 8. I'm going to ask you what happened, right?
Okay.
And then I know the next year after that is a 9, which means you're ending a 9-year cycle. So I'm going to ask it because we know there's going to be completions, endings. You know, there might be a shift,
Yeah.
right? You may transition out of one thing into another. You might release some things, and then the following year after that, you're going to be back in one again, and there could be some new starts and new beginnings, right?
Yeah.
You know, so I'm going to be looking at 3-year cycles for you, 8, 9, and then it turns out that your life path is a 1, right? The other, remember, there's another lesson. Right. So I'm just gonna say fuck it. 891. 891.
Okay,
You know what I'm
perfect.
saying? And
Okay.
now I'm gonna tell you what this stuff means first. I'm gonna do analysis. I'm gonna try to keep it brief as possible with my big mouth.
Okay.
Right. And
All right. No, you
know,
can let me have it. All right. You let me have it.
right. Okay. Now here's the thing.
Yes.
I want to say one thing really quick that's really important.
Yes. Tell me.
All my sessions, unless they're very known people, right? You know, of course I know who they are because everybody knows who they are.
Yeah.
But the majority of my sessions are for people I have literally no idea who they are.
Okay.
No clue.
And same here. You didn't know who I was, right, Josh? So I mean, this is
I had
as
no
real
idea
as
who
it
you
gets.
were, but I do know, you know, that you were a singer, that you know the Grammy. I know that you're in
Mm-hmm.
Latin music. You know, I know that much.
Okay.
Because I was told that, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So, but I had no idea who you know are. I mean, I did talk to a couple of Latin friends and like, oh shit, I know who she is. So they know who you are.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know who the hell you are.
Okay.
And so, but
I like Josh.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, it's better this way that you didn't know who I was. That now I'm like, okay, this is legit. And I know it's legit because I really do believe in numbers in all of this. I really do.
Right. So what I'll say is, you know, kind of starting off here, that I said, well, you know, if I were to turn around and say, well, your chart suggested you would be a singer and have, you know, fame from that in the Latin market, you'd be like, please, bitch, are you kidding me? You know,
like, duh.
You got to be kidding me. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So I'm just telling you that the things I'm going to say, right? First of all, I wouldn't have pegged you necessarily for a musician. Now, it doesn't a singer. Now, communications, yes, but not necessarily that.
Okay.
Because as much as you've had great success in that department, it's suggested that you could use that as a vehicle. It's not your higher purpose.
Josh. Oh my gosh, dude, you're blowing my fucking mind right now. I'm gonna tell you why. Because I know this.
No, but don't tell me anything.
Okay, I'm not gonna tell you
I
nothing.
don't want you to influence me.
Fine, I'm not gonna tell you anything. Okay, so I do want to ask you something. Do you feel that, yes, we are born at a certain time and the planets align and there's nothing that we can do about that? It is what it is. But I believe that depending on the choices that we make on a daily basis, we can change our destiny, or if we are aligned.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
no, totally.
Okay.
The whole point, listen, let's get this straight.
Tell me.
These numbers are code. You're here to break the code.
Okay. See, yes.
There are some aspects of life that are going to be a part of your karma or your destiny. And you say, well, how can you prove that? And I go, I don't have to prove a damn thing. All I got to look at is what happened to you when you were born. Where were you born? Who were your parents? What was your socioeconomic background? And what were your challenges? Because right there, you had no control. You're just a baby. You're a child. So whatever your karma is, whatever your destiny is, you know, my dad was an attorney. It's like, I deal with facts.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I'm not a like this out of, you know, new agey person where I'm up in the stratosphere and like talking silliness.
Yeah.
I'm dealing with real shit.
Yeah.
You know, I'm fact based. That's what happened to you. Now you can say, but that's, you know, who can say why that I came in under that? And I go, that's right. Who can say? Because we can only know factually that's what you experienced. That right there, you had no control of. But when you grow up, when you become an adult, when you start to realize you can make your own decisions, when you start to realize your patterns, like whatever happened to you made you feel something about yourself that wasn't true. It's literally conditioning. The numbers just tell us what the conditioning was, and it says, here's the pathway to break that conditioning and create your own future. I'm all about free will. Fuck all that other stuff.
Okay,
all the people that come to me are about changing their life for the better. not about saying, oh, this is what I'm born with and this is the way it is.
Yeah, because see, I mean, okay, here's another question. Sorry, I'm like, bombarding you with questions, but it all just, these are just doubts and things that I think about. And sometimes I don't speak about it out loud because I feel like it's going to just be, you know, I'm not going to be understood. But anyways, okay. So yes, we were born a certain day. And then people say you're born on a certain day and you're going to die on a certain day. And everything in between is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, so that's why people,
No.
I feel are like, and I believe, yes, you were born on a certain day. And I feel like depending on the decisions that you make, how you live your life, karma, then it determines, okay, does your death come sooner or later? Or am I tripping?
You got it. No,
I'm
you're not
fucking
tripping.
smart.
Here's it.
See, I knew it.
Yeah, no, you are smart. Look, I don't want to overstate because first of all, I
Mhm.
want you to know that there are limitations of what I can do. I
Okay.
know what those limitations are. I'm not an infallible computer where every word out of my mouth is perfect and,
Mm-hmm.
and so on and so forth. But there's enough information I can gather to prove, I believe, that there is a system going on here. Look, you're here to learn and to grow and evolve as a soul.
Yes.
And yes, I believe in reincarnation only because to me, it's the most reasonable approach to this. To me, it's the
Mm-hmm.
most logical thing,
Yeah.
because I don't think we can get it all done in one lifetime. I know some
There's no
people
way.
don't. Some people may say, "Well, I don't necessarily believe in that," and that's okay because we don't know for certain. It's just a belief, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can't prove it either way, but it's a logical belief because I'm looking at people's lives and what we have to learn. Like we're not going to get this all done.
Yeah.
It's just an
Yeah.
experience. The important point is people change, grow, and evolve. You're born with challenges, but you can
Mm-hmm.
play that hand if you work on yourself, if you take responsibility for your life.
Agreed.
The numbers metamorphosize into the higher levels of the numbers instead of the lower unconscious where you're playing shit out and you don't even know why. You don't know
Mm-hmm.
why you're attracting that because your program is going on. Once you
Yeah.
break the program, you break them. You know what it is? It's a matrix. We're living
Yes.
in kind of a matrix.
I truly believe that. And I know, and this is why I believe in reincarnation, because there are certain things that just come to me so easily and things that I'm like,
Yeah.
how do I know this? Like it
Um,
comes to me. And I know that
yeah.
I also know that I'm hard-headed and that there are things that I didn't learn in my past lives that I'm learning now that I'm like, I want to break generational curses. I want to be better. And I do my best every single day because I'm not trying to come back and do the same shit
Yeah.
over. And I
Yeah.
mean, I got to learn my damn lessons, So
Yeah.
that's why I
Yeah.
truly believe it. It's something that I'm like, I'm an old soul. Like I just know it
Yeah.
because I know. As you guys know, listeners, I always end all of my podcasts with a motivational Monday quote. And I think I have the perfect one for us today. So let me go ahead and read it to you guys. The quote for the day is, "The two most important days in life are the day you were born and the day you find out why." You guys, the day you were born and the day you find out why. I think it goes all with what we've talked about today.
Wow.
And right, that's a good one, right? You think you like that
Yeah.
one? Okay, awesome.
Yes.
And Josh, I don't know if you want to share your social media or a website where people can find you.
Yeah. So, I mean, the website's, Josh code, just because this is a mathematical code,
Hmm.
and the dude Josh is doing it.
Yeah,
So,
I love it.
so Josh code, JOSHCODE.com. My Instagram is at numerology Josh, at numerology Josh. And
Nice.
so, and I post some things. I do interviews and articles and things like that, and answer questions from time to time. And
I love it.
post picture of myself when I was 20 and had long hair and it was in love with myself. You
I'm
got to
gonna
see that
follow you
picture on
right
there.
now.
Yeah, you
So
got to see that picture when I was 20. You got to see it. It's
okay, so at
unbelievable.
numerology Josh, right?
Yeah,
On
you got it.
Instagram. Okay,
Yeah,
perfect. And his website, you guys, is joshcode.com. Josh, thank
yeah,
you again. Sending
yeah.
you a big, big hug. And I'm going to be talking to you again. So,
I bet. It's been a pleasure. I loved it. I loved it. You're a special soul, and I enjoyed working with you, and
Aw.
I connected to you. I liked it. I enjoyed
Same
it.
here. Honestly, I feel very
Yeah.
connected to you, Josh. So thank you so much, you guys. Muchas gracias. Guys know I love you. Thank you for listening. And I'm sending you guys lots of kisses. Hasta la próxima. And guys, I want to let you know there's a brand new way for us to keep in touch. You can now leave me voice memos directly through the iHeartRadio app. Just click the microphone at the top of the Chiquis and Chill podcast homepage within the iHeartRadio app. And if you don't already have the app, you can download it for free. Your questions and comments could be featured in a future episode, so feel free to tell me what's on your mind. This is a production of iHeartRadio and My Cultura Podcast Network. Follow us on Instagram at My Cultura Podcasts and follow me, Chiquis, that's CHIQUIS. For more podcasts from iHeart, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.